Hey guys, welcome to day 4 of our writing instruction online. Go ahead, if you will, go to your Google Classroom, classwork like we did yesterday. Click on your argument essay practice online instruction document. And if you need some assistance further, go ahead and click on your current argument writing survival guide. If you have not corrected and checked your comments from last night after you finished the video and finished editing, don't even continue. Pause the video, go correct your corrections, and then come back after, okay? So I want you to go to your argument essay practice online instruction because my school art just couldn't even stop and bother herself with this on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I forgot about this. I guess I just got too excited with this online instruction. So I've added it to your document. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. I totally forgot to go through what we're doing this week in our standards. Y'all know what we're doing. We've been doing this since day 1 of school. But just to make sure that we understand, I'm going to highlight by day. This is going to be not so exciting, but I want to make sure that we have this done because y'all know what they are. I just didn't include them in the last 3 videos, really. So let's go ahead and look through. By the end of the week, we're going to have our complete essay finished. So we're going to be able to write an opinion piece on topics or text supporting point of view with reasons and information. Yep, we're doing it. We've done it. We're doing it right now. So this is going to be our 5th day or Friday. Can do or we do. So yeah, we're good. We're doing that. We're working on it. So each day, obviously, you grouped things into different categories. So, did we introduce a topic or text clearly, state an opinion, create an organizational structure in which ideas were logically grouped to support the writer's purpose? Oh yeah, we already did that. We did that Monday, so I'm going to start off with red for Monday. Have we provided a logical order with our reasons that are supported by facts and details? Do we have 3 reasons, whys, and examples? Yeah, we do. We did it, and we did it Monday. Have we linked our opinion and reason using words, phrases, and clauses? Transitional phrases? Yep, we did that, and we did it Monday. We made it better Tuesday. Have we provided a concluding statement? Yeah. We have an intro and a conclusion. We did it Monday, and we worked on them and made them better Tuesday and Wednesday. Fantastic. And look what I've done. I have included expository, and we don't do that. Look at us. I'm so proud of us. So we finished all of it. We've done all of this on Monday. Now we're working on making them better each day, okay? So Tuesday, we made sure that our information was linked with good transitional phrases. So we did that on Tuesday, or our second day. We provided a concluding statement, and we made sure that it was written pretty well on Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, we've done it. We've done it all. We're good. So today we are continuously working on our essay. I've got a few more things based on what I've done for corrections last night. So we're good. We know what we're doing. I'm going to click over here to make sure that we've done what we need to do. All right. Even if you have not gone through this with me, if we're not in the 3rd or 4th 9 weeks, we're still going to do it for our 4th day, okay? So if you haven't already gotten here with me, we're going to work on step 5, which is our last step. How many times during the school year do I tell you guys, make sure that everything's perfect, and then you go, okay, after you're done with your essay, or you think you're done, let's say, with your essay, and you look through and you say, spelling good, punctuation cool, capitalization done. And then you submit. Yeah, that's not editing. We've talked about this before. Now you're really going to get into it if we haven't gotten to the 3rd or 4th 9 weeks yet. Editing will happen the rest of the time period. It's a struggle in the first 2 9 weeks getting it just written in 45 minutes, right? Now, when we're in the 3rd and 4th 9 weeks, most of us, about 90% of us, are doing pretty well on time. Now we're going to make it good because what we do 1st and 2nd 9 weeks, the majority of us is just a 3. It's a passing score, which is not bad. We've gotten good grades for it so far, but starting the 3rd 9 weeks after the first 2, I'm going to start actually giving you that rubric score. So I'm going to bust out my handy dandy calculator because you know I can't do the math. So in our grading rubric, we've got 4 columns, right? And you can get either a 0, meaning you didn't write anything or you wrote it in another language, or it was off topic, all the way up to a 5, meaning, ooh, you are a fantastic writer. I don't even need to make any corrections, right? So if we multiply all of those together, the highest score you can get is a 5 times 4 equals the 20, right? So let's look at it for a second. 4 columns, right? And if you get a 3 on all of the columns, if you get a 3 out of every single section of the rubric, it's been a good score so far, right? But if I really give it to you, I'm going to do 3 times 4, which we already know what the answer for that is because we're good at the maths, unlike Miss Goulart. It's a 12, but it's out of a 20 total, right? So now I'm going to divide the 12 out of 20, and that gives us a 0.6. All right, now what does that mean, you might ask? Well, if I take that out of 100 points for grading, that would be a 60%. Now, is that passing? So it's passing if we're talking about the ACT Aspire grading style. But if we're talking about how we grade here at school, it's a 60 out of 100. That's not the best score, right? Not at all, okay? So at this point, if we're not there yet, we will get there third and fourth 9 weeks. It's okay to pass on the ACT Aspire, and you each know your own writing goal, and some of you are on a 3, which is what you should be on. That's fine. But even if we're on a 3 goal, we're still going to strive all year and work all year to get higher than a 3, okay? I mean, because if we can, why not? And every single one of us that are in this class can get higher than a 3, all right? So we're going to start looking at how we can do that, all right? So after we finish writing, doing all the stuff that we've been doing for the first 3 days, we're going to start step 5, which is editing. We are not even looking at spelling, punctuation, or capitalization until we are totally done with the checklist that I have on the screen, okay? That's really weird for a lot of you because a lot of you just think editing is checking for capitalization, spelling, and those types of errors. Not even close, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is edit, and we're going to do it the rest of the time period. Look at step 5. It says edit for at least 10 minutes. What I mean at least 10 minutes, I mean those are for you guys that are already scoring 4s and 5s at teacher table. At least 10 minutes. If not, until the teacher who you are testing with tells you to stop and submit. You should technically be doing this entire editing process the rest of the time you're taking this test until your teacher says stop what you're doing. At that point, you go and press submit and you're done. You shouldn't even look at the submit button until you're done editing completely or until your teacher that is testing you tells you to stop, okay? All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to change the wording of our reasoned sentences. Have we already done that? Yes, we did that yesterday. Let me just refresh your memory. We're changing the wording that we've got. Oh, I apologize. We didn't do this yesterday. We did this the day before. We're changing the wording in our green, okay? So I'm sorry, I'm flipping back and forth too much. In our introduction, right here, and conclusion, okay? Now, if you haven't done this with me yet, I'm going to use what's on the Current Argument Writing Survival Guide. So right here, if you want to look with me, you can. If we've done this and you know what I'm talking about, you may pause the video and start now. So right now, I just have what I've copied and pasted from my reasoned sentences. I copy paste here, copy paste this green one up here, copy paste this one right here. And then I copy pasted my whole paragraph, put it down as my conclusion, and then wrote my charge, and I was done, right? But in order, like we talked about on day 2, to get a higher score than a 3, we've got to change the wording up a little bit. So on my checklist, I've got a few options for you. You can synonym replace, you can flip it, change the style, change clause location, use figurative language, use quotations. If you haven't done this with me yet, you're like, what are you talking about? So I'm going to show you. First thing is the synonym replacement. It's easiest, but you got to know stuff, right? So this one is the banning cell phones one. We've already done this together, so you should be familiar with it. Banning cell phones is not ethical for many reasons. Cool. Now, can I figure out another word for banning? Maybe not a synonym directly, but I can come up with a different way of saying it. So instead of saying banning cell phones, what could I say? I could say getting rid of cell phones. That's what I mean by synonym replacement. You look at each word as you go through and you say, how can I change this word up? Can I make it into a synonym? Is there a direct synonym, meaning a word that has the same meaning that I could use? Or can I have a different way of saying it? Getting rid of cell phones, and let's keep it, is not ethical. What is ethical? What did we say ethical was at the beginning of the school year? It means like morally correct, right? So instead of saying ethical, I could say getting rid of cell phones is not appropriate. I like that. It's not appropriate for many reasons. Sounds pretty good. Many reasons, I can keep it like that. The second reason I think cell phones. Now, do I have to have a transition right here? I can leave it because look, I'm checking it. The next great reason in my second body or reason paragraph is changed. I'll keep it since it's not different. I think cell phones should not be banned at Glen Rose. Glen Rose is my old school, so we're going to say, you've already done it, at Cross County CCETA. Should not be banned at, we can leave that, is because some after school commitments have different, even confusing locations, which make it hard for parents to locate their kids. Because some after school, instead of saying commitments, let's say some after school activities have different, even confusing locations, which make it, what's another word for hard? Difficult. Love it. For parents, let's say guardians, let's get all fancy, to locate their kids, to find their students. See, I just looked at specific words that I noticed I was using quite a bit. I replaced them with a word that means the exact same thing. And if I didn't know a word that means the same thing, then I used a different phrase. Okay. That's what I mean by synonym switching or swapping. Here's a good source to use. I'm going to put it in parentheses. You're already going to have it. Thesaurus.com. If you need some assistance, type in or use the link that I'm going to provide for you into another screen. Thesaurus.com. In fact, I'll show you if we haven't gotten there yet, how to use it. All right, so it says synonym. We know the word synonym means a word that has the same meaning, okay? I'm going to choose one of the ones that we didn't know anything about back in my introduction. You don't have to do this except for the thesaurus part. If you've already done it with me third or fourth time weeks, you don't have to unless you know how to do it. All right, so we're going to use ban. If you use thesaurus.com and you have a verb that you want to find a synonym for, you don't need to add a past tense ending or a present tense like ing or ed. Don't add those. All right, now I've got a ton of good words. So I've got boycott. Censorship is used differently, but could be. Embargo, injunction, prohibition, refusal, restriction. Ooh, restriction's a great one. And notice they're color-coded if you haven't done this with me yet. Synonyms that are better to use are the darker color, and then they get lighter because I kind of have to work with these more to make them make sense. So, for example, out of bounds. I couldn't just go back to where I have the word banned and put, I think cell phones are out of bounds. Okay, I get it, but is it the best alternative to banned in the sentence I'm using it in? No, not really, okay? I have to work with the lighter colors more. So let's see. Let's use boycott. I love that. I think cell phones should not be boycott at CCETA because I like that. That works. So you can use Synonym or thesaurus.com during regular class, but as we get better, 4th 9 weeks specifically, we're going to learn more of what we call dead words, which are words that we aren't going to use anymore. They're dead, and I'll add a lot of synonyms to it, and you'll learn them. We won't use them as much. But if you need to right now, you're in the 2nd, maybe 3rd 9 weeks, and you're still struggling with synonyms, you can use thesaurus.com, okay? All right, I'm exiting out of thesaurus.com. I'm going to go back to my checklist. So I can synonym replace, I can flip sentences, I can change the style. So let me go up here. Let's use the last but not least sentence. Last but not least, banning cell phones could prove problematic because there are too many students for faculty to keep track of and discipline illegal cell phone usage. Okay. Let's just flip what we're doing, and this kind of has to do with switching the clauses. I'm going to look for my words like because, my conjunctions, because, and, or, therefore, which are also transitions. Because there are too many, okay? I'm going to highlight this, Command C, that phrase or clause. This is a dependent clause. I get it, there's a subject and a verb that agree with each other, but I don't know what's going on. So it's a dependent clause. It's depending on something else. I'm going to, like I already said, Command C and then delete or backspace. And I'm going to come to the front of the sentence right here before my transitions. I'm going to Command V and paste it. Capitalize because. We've talked about it before. Everybody always comes to 5th grade saying, I thought we were never supposed to use because at the beginning of a sentence. Yeah, we know. That's true. Typically, you're right. But whenever we're being very, very fancy with the way we say things and we're using clause switching, we're putting the dependent clause at the beginning, we can because we're going to add more after, right? So because there are too many students for faculty to keep track of and to discipline illegal cell phone usage, comma, banning cell phones could prove problematic. I don't need my transitional phrase right there because it doesn't make sense there, so I'm erasing it. I'm adding my punctuation to the end, and that sentence is a really cool compound and complex sentence, which gets you 4s and 5s, specifically 5s. But I am going to think about adding a transition to the beginning, right? So I have, because there are too many students for faculty to keep track of and to discipline illegal cell phone usage, banning cell phones could prove problematic. I want to make sure that the reader knows this is my last reason, even though I've capitalized it, because sometimes we don't always need a transition in our introduction right here. I do want to add one. Lastly, comma, because. No, I don't like lastly. Let's use finally, comma, because. And y'all, notice, we do this in class, but some of us have a problem with this. When you're at home, you're going to have to do this part. I always say my sentence out loud numerous times because I sometimes think, oh, that sounds good. But when I read it out loud, like I just did with lastly, I didn't like it. It sounds kind of funky, right? So I'm going to read it out loud to make sure it sounds good. Last time. Finally, because there are too many students or faculty to keep track of, and I'm going to take away the two and discipline illegal cell phone usage because I'm talking about the faculty doing it. That makes sense. Banning cell phones could prove problematic. That sounds really darn good. It has a great transition that's different than the transition that I'm using in the actual paragraph. And I flipped it to make it sound cool and different and adding an element of complexity to the sentence. I'm going to get a 5 on that one. Pretty darn good. All right, let me scroll down to where I could also change location of the clause. Technically, that's flipping it. I'm going to erase that because y'all are pretty good at it. Changing the style of the sentence. I love that. We're going to try that now. This is all we're going to do for today. Let's scroll down to my conclusion because my introduction, I've kind of done that with y'all. Now we're going to do the conclusion using the changing of the sentence structure. My school has to decide if it should ban cell phones altogether. Many people think it would be a smart choice, but not everybody agrees. Let's do this one. Banning cell phones is not ethical. No, let's do the second sentence. The second reason I think cell phones should not be banned at Glen Rose is because some after-school commitments are different locations. All right, let's do it a little bit differently. I'm going to highlight the green for the second reason, okay? You'll always panic about this. I'm going to erase it, but that doesn't mean I don't know. Remember, if I panic and don't remember what I put before I type anything, Command Z to bring it back. All right, so I'm talking about parents having a hard time locating their kids. Let's make this a question, okay? It's going to be what we call a rhetorical question, meaning we're not really asking the reader to answer it. We're using a question to make the sentence sound a little different. So the second reason, I might change that later, comma, how many of you, how many of us have practices after school? Question mark. I'm making it a question. But shul, come on, Miss Goulart. Get it together. How many of us have practice after school, comma? If you said, oh, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone, said, comma, begin quote, me, exclamation point, end quote, then you may have experienced a time when your, let's just say mom, no, let's say parents came to pick you up, but you were using the restroom, comma, or helping a coach take equipment to their car, period. Having a cell phone available could help ease that problem, period. So I did two things. Look back down at your checklist. I used a question only in the conclusion, right? Even if you have it in the introduction, it's fine because I'm not actually asking the reader to choose something. I'm asking them if they have the same problem that I have. And I used quotations. You can use a quotation like someone like yourself is saying something to make your sentence sound a little different. Look, I'm going to reread it. Second reason, how many of us have practices after school, question mark? If you said me, I don't even like that now, but if you say I do, exclamation point, then you may have experienced a time when your parents came to pick you up, but you were using the restroom or helping a coach take equipment to their car. Having a cell phone available could help ease that problem. Fantastic. Now, since my transitions sounds funky at the beginning, I'm going to change it. Also, comma, how many? Sounds a little bit better. Good. And then lastly, using figurative language. I used it before I made that correction. I said, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. Am I really just killing birds? No. I'm saying I'm going to do two things at once, right? Let's add some figurative language to make our sentence sound fun and interesting. Let's do it in the last but not least. Banning cell phones could prove problematic because there are too many students for faculty to keep track of. I love it. Let's think about it. Could we use an idiom for this one? Yeah, we probably could. We could say there are too many fish in this pond. We could. I don't know if it would work the best here. So let's think about it. How could we use figurative language? Maybe a simile or a metaphor to talk about how there are too many kids to keep track of. So it would make it hard for teachers to discipline using cell phones too much. All right, we could say there are. I'm going to remember, don't panic. I'm going to erase because I know what I'm talking about. It's going to make it hard for teachers to discipline it. There are so many kids that have cell phones at school. It would be like, what would it be like? Thinking of a good idiom. It would be like finding a needle in a haystack, comma. Now, I'm going to have to explain more after that because remember, the idiom or phrase, even though this is also a metaphor like finding a needle in a haystack, and finding a needle in a haystack, think about it. Y'all know about hay. Y'all know about hay bales. If I put a needle up in one hay bale, you think it's going to take you a minute or 15 hours to find it if you ever do? It's going to take forever, right? So we're basically saying that there's too many kids that it would be like finding a needle in a haystack if you were trying to figure out whose cell phone was being used at what time because everybody's probably using them, right? So we're saying there would be so many people using their phones that it would be virtually impossible for teachers to catch just one student and discipline them fairly. Let's add fairly because that's important, okay? So if you didn't know how to do step 1, changing the sentence and the sentence structure and the reason sentences in your intro and conclusion, then you're doing a good job watching me, okay? All right, we've checked repeated words and we've in turn elevated our vocabulary, but we are going to do that part tomorrow, okay? All right, so this was day 4 of our argument essay. Fantastic job. I'm going to check and correct to make sure that you're doing what we did today in our video tonight whenever I look at all of your essays. Make sure before you watch tomorrow's video to check and correct yours and meet me back here again tomorrow for day 5 of the last day of our instruction. Bye, y'all.